All right, so you're a young architect and you're about to step onto a job site for the very first time. Well, you've come to the right place. I've put together this, let's call it a field guide, to help you navigate what is probably one of the most challenging but also one of the most rewarding phases of any project, construction administration. Believe me, this is where your design really meets reality.
So, you did it. You spent months, maybe even years, getting that set of drawings just perfect. Every line is crisp, the vision is totally clear. But, that's just the blueprint, right? The real test? That starts the second the first shovel hits the ground. So, now what? What happens next? How do you make sure that beautiful design of yours actually becomes a solid, well-built reality?
Okay, let's jump right in. I've broken this down into 5 key parts to get you totally prepped for the job site. First, we'll talk about just welcoming you to the site. Then, we'll get into your core duties, the real art of communication, how to handle those common challenges that always pop up, and finally, the big keys to making it all a success.
All right, Section 1. Welcome to the job site. We're talking about your big shift, from designer to guardian. So first things first, what in the world is construction administration, or CA as you'll hear it called? Well, the Architect's Handbook really nails the definition. It's the phase where you, the architect, administer the contract. Now that word, administer, that's everything. It means your job isn't really about designing anymore. It's about observing, interpreting, and facilitating, all to make sure the project gets built exactly the way it's laid out in those contract documents you spent so much time on.
And this is probably the biggest mental shift you're going to make. Think of it this way. You're not just the creator of the vision anymore. Now you're its guardian. It becomes way less about those big, creative, broad strokes and all about the nitty-gritty details, about objective problem solving and about protecting the integrity of that design all the way to the finish line.
Okay, Section 2, let's talk about your core duties. This is basically your toolkit for when you're out on the site.
So here's the rundown of your main jobs on site. You're going to be doing field observations, basically walking the site, checking on progress and quality. You'll be reviewing contractor submittals, things like shop drawings, material samples, just making sure everything matches your design intent. You'll be answering a ton of questions from the contractor, what we call RFIs, or requests for information. And then there's the big stuff, reviewing payment applications, managing change orders, and, at the very end, inspecting for substantial completion. And by the way, this is where knowing systems like master format is a lifesaver because it gives you a structure for all this stuff.
Let's just zoom in on one of these for a second, because it's a big one. Certifying payments. Here's how it works. The contractor sends in their bill, right? But it comes with something called a schedule of values, which is just a detailed breakdown of all the work. Your job is to go out to the site, look at what they've done, and verify that the work they're billing for is actually complete. Then you certify that the payment is accurate. Think about it. Your signature is literally what gets them paid. So yeah, it's a pretty serious responsibility.
And this image really captures something important. Construction is just a giant, scheduled sequence of events, one thing after another. And all those administrative tasks we just talked about, they aren't just paperwork you do at your desk. They are critical links in that chain. If you're slow to answer an RFI or certify a payment, it can create a massive ripple effect, delaying a subcontractor, which delays another one, and suddenly the whole timeline is a mess. Your work is what keeps the whole machine moving forward.
Okay, so all of those duties we just covered, they all hinge on one single thing. And that brings us to Section 3, the art of communication. We're talking about you as the central hub of the whole project.
I absolutely love this quote from Professional Practice 101 because it just says it all, doesn't it? At the end of the day, a successful project is built by people working together, not fighting each other. It's about collaboration, not confrontation. Your ability to create an atmosphere of mutual respect where everyone actually listens to each other is honestly just as important as how well you can draw. You're the one who sets that tone.
And yeah, a picture like this just drives that point home. CA happens with real people huddled over drawings trying to solve problems. So many critical decisions get made in these exact moments, in these conversations. But here's the catch. People forget things. Which brings me to the single most important tool you have for communication.
And that tool is documentation, period. You have to think of your meeting minutes as the project's official memory. You need to write down who said what and what got decided. Every single important conversation needs a follow-up in writing. And look, this isn't about creating a paper trail so you can blame someone later. It's about creating total, absolute clarity for everyone so you can avoid those expensive misunderstandings down the road.
Okay, let's get real. Things are going to go wrong. So, Section 4 is all about navigating those common challenges and managing your risk and liability.
So the Architect's Handbook lays out these 4 classic ways to manage risk. You can avoid it, transfer it, assume it, or control it. Now, the first 3 are important, for sure, but the one you're going to live and breathe every single day is control. And what that means is being proactive. It's about catching a potential problem, like a waterproofing detail that looks off in a submittal, before it gets built into the wall. That kind of proactive problem solving, that's the heart and soul of good CA.
Okay, this is a concept that every single young architect needs to understand inside and out. It's called betterment versus omission. Let's say you messed up and forgot to put a window in the drawings. It's an omission. Now, the owner was always going to have to pay for that window, right? That's the betterment they get. Your firm isn't necessarily on the hook for the entire cost of the window. Your liability is for the extra cost of adding it in late. The rush shipping, the cost to cut a new hole in the wall. Knowing that difference is absolutely vital when things go wrong and you have to figure out who pays for what.
And all of this leads to a quote that you should probably just print out and tape to your monitor. Your job is not to be perfect. Your duty is based on something called a standard of care. So you never certify perfect performance, ever. Instead, you always use phrases like, in my professional opinion, or to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. It might seem like a small thing, but using that language protects you from making guarantees that you simply can't ensure. It's a huge deal. All right, let's wrap this up. Section 5, the keys to CA success. This is all about building a solid foundation for the rest of your career.
Honestly, it really just boils down to these 4 things. Number 1, be thorough. Now more than ever, the little details are everything. 2, be clear. Ambiguity is your worst enemy on a job site. Make sure everything you say and write is crystal clear. 3, be collaborative. Your job is to build a team, not point fingers. And finally, number 4, be prepared. You have to know those contract documents like the back of your hand. They're literally the rules of the game you're being paid to manage.
And this really gets to the heart of why CAA is so valuable. It's not just some administrative chore you have to do at the end of a project. It is, without a doubt, the most powerful feedback loop you will ever get as a designer. Every single question a builder asks you, every weird condition you find on site, every material you watch get installed, that's all knowledge going straight into your brain. So I'll leave you with this question. How is this experience, the experience of making something real, going to change the way you design your next project? Because that's what turns a good designer into a truly great architect.